Welcome to Box Recaps. Today I'm going to explain the movie Project Gutenberg, released in the year 2018. The movie begins, and we see a prisoner who is currently traveling under tight protection from Bangkok to Hong Kong. Inspector Ho Wai Lam is the officer overseeing this operation. It appears that the prisoner is incredibly significant to them, given the strong level of security surrounding him. The prisoner in the back is observing the driver. The detainee was led to the questioning room. They begin to enumerate his offenses. Based on this, we may conclude that 7 security officers in a van heading to the central bank were assaulted 2 years ago on a Canadian highway. Every guard was killed. In June of that year, the Golden Triangle guerrilla troop was assaulted, resulting in 82 deaths and 157 injuries. Last September, the body of a printer was discovered in a printing plant. Someone was slain, and then a hotel in Canada, a police officer, and 8 dealers were killed, and the body was discovered. Only 2 persons were discovered to be alive and healthy. The prisoner was one, and the gang boss, known as the Painter, was the other. Lee Man and his partner, Yuen, are both painters who reside in Vancouver. Yuen creates unique works of art, while Lee Man copies those by well-known artists. Lee Man is quite skilled at doing this, and can accurately reproduce any sort of artwork with every little detail. Yet dealers are not interested in his reproductions since they are unable to put a duplicate on display in their showrooms, regardless of how realistic it seems. As Lee Man is walking home one evening, he overhears Yuen's manager instructing her to leave Lee Man. Yuen asks him to leave since she won't ever leave Lee Man if she wants to succeed, but she insists she does. The two of them finally succeed, after a great deal of effort, in getting their paintings exposed for the public to view at an art exhibition. Few visitors enjoy Lee's works, but many are fans of Yuen. Lee also receives insults from a guest who goes by the name of the Artist for his paintings. In doing so, Yuen becomes enraged and requests that he leave. When Lee Man pursues the man to demand an apology, he learns that the artist deliberately committed all of these offenses. He suggests that they speak in private so that they may acknowledge and compliment Lee's skill with forgeries. They visit a pub where the artist informs Lee Man that he likes imitation paintings, and that he also has an opportunity for Lee Man that might alter his life. After that, Lee returns to the exhibition and destroys the offensive artwork that the artist had created. After this, he is pleased, and the next day he agrees to work for the artist, but only after Lee Man inquires as to what the artist wants him to reproduce. A $100 banknote is taken out by the artist. It comes out that he wants Lee Man to draw money that seems so real that no one will be able to tell that it is false, since they cannot just produce the money. He plans to create a lot of fake currency that cannot be identified. Lee Man initially opposes doing anything unlawful, but after learning he will profit greatly from it, he decides to go through with it. On his way home that afternoon, he witnesses Yuen leaving the house. Because of the damage he caused to her finances at the gallery, she has made the decision to leave him. Later, Lee Man travels to Thailand with the artist and his crew aboard a private aircraft. Lee Man is still considering returning to Canada. After making some money, of course, the artist tells him that he gets Lee Man in the back. Mr. Yam, an expert in color theory, a printing plate specialist, and 2 individuals who oversee security and sales make up the team. Franklin's image is depicted in the Duplessis form, which has been 50% enlarged, on the new $100 US note from 1996, giving it more detailed information. The outcome won't be the same and as accurate as the original one, even if they utilize the greatest commercial printer at this point. A commercial printer can never print with this many details, and there is a microprint on Franklin's collar on the building that reads the United States of America, which is impossible for one to read. Since Lee Man can paint the banknotes better than the printer itself, that is what he must do. The banknotes are also made of scratch-free paper, which changes the black ink from a fake pen into yellow to show that the bill is genuine. The artist still has to find a method to obtain such scratch papers, but in the meanwhile, he wants Lee Man to focus on the painting process. For the following several weeks, Lee Man paints the 100 notes with pinpoint accuracy, not missing a single detail, but printing the watermark and passing the counterfeit security check remains a challenge. So for this, they're going to utilize a Chinese painting process in which the actual painting is sandwiched between two sheets that are pressed to make the center layer stand out. The printing is then handled by Mr. Yam. He applies his knowledge to create a printing plate that produces paintings with an accuracy of 10,000ths of a millimeter. When tested, they discover that there are no Moyer effects, proving their success. The most crucial step is taken once the artist discovers a means to get scratch paper. Because this plant employs scratch papers that are 3 times as wide as a $100 note to create phone books, they travel to Eastern Europe to a company that makes phone books. They get a sizable bundle of scratch papers from them under the guise of a comic book firm, since the breadth is ideal for the sandwich procedure. They import the sheets and begin printing counterfeit currency that resembles actual notes. They are very cautious with their company and sell it to wholesalers through an antique store. After working with the artist for 6 months, Lee Man goes back to Vancouver to give Yuan a key, but he declines to see her and instead drops it off at her desk. As a result of the artist calling him a coward, a dispute develops between the two. The artist pulls out a revolver to display his bravery, and then suddenly decides to steal a police cruiser. Lee Man has no option but to assist him, although he is afraid to shoot anyone. By the time the impromptu heist is through, all of the police officers are dead, and Lee Man is left speechless. He starts to understand that his employer isn't simply a griefully person, he's also a cruel person, and Lee Man joined him just to paint, not to murder anybody. Then, Wing, a police expert in fake currency, is brought to us. He is summoned to Hong Kong from Canada because the department has discovered a dramatic increase in counterfeit money everywhere. Wing shakes hands with Inspector Ho Wai Lam, chief of the Hong Kong police. They pretended to be persons looking to purchase counterfeit money to begin their covert operation. They interact with many brokers before being given the okay to ultimately meet the artist at a boat party. But sadly, the painter has sent his brokers in his place because their scheme doesn't work. They put Wing to a variety of tests before deciding that he is not an informant. Lee Man shows up one day and announces that he no longer wants to be a member of the group, but he still makes the commitment to find a way for their business to continue even after he quits. Without asking a question, the artist gives him free rein to do as he pleases. The crew is then seen selling their goods on a global scale while traveling to various locations. Their revenues are substantial because of the high demand for the bogus currency they produce. The general, a Thai criminal lord, invites the artist and his team to his home for a business meeting because he's prepared to pay a very high sum for a transaction with them. However, it turns out that the general murdered the artist's father a long time ago, and the artist is actually here to kill the general rather than conduct business. He orders the lead to detonate the explosives hidden under his jackets, but a horrified Lee Man was unable to. An automobile explodes in a split second, sparking a battle between the two factions. Except for Cao Qing, their specialist in counterfeit money, every member of the general's crew is dead. Lee Man intervened just in time to save her from catching fire and dying. She is looked after they go and given a team invitation due to her abilities. She is taken care of by Lee Man, and they end up becoming friends. Additionally, the fake ID that Cao Qing receives from the artist is named Yuan after Lee's ex-girlfriend. The crew leaves the company for a year following this occurrence. During this period, Lee Man and the artist visit Vancouver once more in order to meet Yuan and win her over. But by this point, she had established herself as a well-known painter and sold hundreds of her works. However, when they learn that her manager is now her husband, things turn out to be far worse. The artist wants Lee Man to battle for his affection, but Lee Man isn't interested in that. Later, they board a boat for a business meeting with a man who turns out to be Wing, the undercover cop. However, the artist is aware of him, and he also discovered that Mr. Yam made a mistake and accidentally purchased a watch with fake money, which is how the police first learned about their fake bill operation. They will murder Mr. Yam and every member of his family in accordance with the law. Mr. Yam begs the artist to save his family, but the artist shoots him dead, and when Lee Man is upset about this, he punches the artist, knocking him unconscious. The group then meets Wing, who has Wing in a confined room and is unaware that everyone in the room knows his real identity. Lee Man refuses to kill Wing when the artist begs him to. Thus, the artist has carried out the murder on his own. The artist abducted Yuan and her husband in order to assist Lee Man in overcoming his phobia of murder. He is given a gun by the artist, who instructs him to shoot them since it is simpler to murder those you despise. But Lee Man declines once more. In a fit of rage, the artist murders Yuen's husband by himself. Lee Man, though, finds a way to keep Yuen alive. Cao Qing is aware that Lee Man too will perish. She then assaults everyone in an effort to defend Lee Man because he previously saved her life. In the end, Lee Man kills the artist after Cao Qing has killed every other combatant. He is forced to give up Yuen by Cao Qing, who then takes him to the resort the artist had purchased for them. They learn that the artist is still alive, since the police were unable to locate his corpse. Lee Man discovers that Yuen is preparing to plan a memorial service for her deceased spouse. Lee Man believes that the artist would kill her there so that he can locate Lee Man. Despite Cao Qing's pleas for him not to go, he nonetheless does so. However, while he travels, he unintentionally uses the fake currency and is thus detained by the police. Afterward, he is transported to Hong Kong, where he is questioned by Inspector Ho Wai Lam. In fear that the artist will murder him if he says anything to them, Lee Man stays silent. Yuan meets him a few days later and persuades him to assist the police. They agree to release Lee Man from witness protection in exchange for providing information on the artist. After that, Lee Man begins to tell them everything, beginning with his history, how he met the artist, how they produced fake money when he witnessed a murder for the first time, and many other details. Following his full disclosure, he also assists them in creating drawings of the final two members, Cao Qing and the artist. By the conclusion of this, Lee Man and Yuen had been transferred to a hotel with outside protection. Now that they have a picture of the artist, the police quickly begin their hunt for him. The artist, posing as a police officer, is subsequently spotted by Inspector Ho Wai Lam inside the police station itself. She and her crew take the man into custody while holding him down, only to discover that he has always been a police officer and is not at all an artist. It's odd, since this person is depicted as the artist from the outset, but in reality, it was this police officer who assisted Inspector Ho Wai Lam in bringing Lee from Hong Kong to Thailand. Using the bogus currency, he was apprehended. Lee Man saw his face as they traveled and recalled it. Lee Man is in fact the artist himself, as seen through a flashback. To get away from reality, he invented the artist in his head. Every time he saw the artist committing a crime where he is a terrible person, he became alarmed. The person really doing it was Lee Man. Mr. Yam was slain by him because of his error. Also responsible for Yuen's husband's death was him. In addition, Cao Qing, not Yuen, was the one who came to persuade Lee Man to assist the police in apprehending the artist. Cao Qing had plastic surgery to make her seem like Yuen since she had fallen in love with Lee Man. Police are investigating what is going on while they try to understand it. After killing the guards, Lee Man and Cao Qing were able to flee the hotel, and we next see them cuddling in bed. Cao Qing is depressed because Lee Man will never choose her over you. She's only a copy of you and not the genuine Yuen. She queries if Lee loves Cao Qing in real life or is simply the person she appears to be. Lee Man responds that he only loves Yuen in her true form. The following morning, they board a boat to flee Hong Kong, but Cao Qing later confesses that they're simply traveling around in circles. She wants to put an end to her unhappy life by killing herself and Lee Man. When the police come, the boat explodes, killing the two instantly before they can be taken into custody. In the last scene, Inspector Ho Wai Lam visits the genuine Yuen to let her know that her fiancé's murderer has passed away. Lee Man was once only Yuen's neighbor, she says after taking a closer look at the image of him. Then it is made known that Lee Man even daydreamed about his whole relationship with Yuen. The movie finishes with him being shown to be nothing more than her neighbor. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on the notification and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.